Maybe I want to talk about it. Let's get started with the FrameCast in 3, in 2, in 1. And welcome. How do I pronounce it? Casino?
It's
Casino?
no, it's casino. Like you put like a kick in the Z. It's really interesting.
Yeah. I would say Casino or Sandy. And
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, welcome back, Casino. How was holiday? How was your week off?
Yeah, I slept a lot. I watched a lot of Netflix. Couldn't play a lot of Warframe, which made me sad. And stuff and junk.
But it's good that you slept a lot, took your time to
Yeah.
relax. Last week we had Sandy fill in, but right now we have Casino back, looking a hell of a lot better right now, looking rested, good, nice. Yeah, the holiday changed you a lot last week, but now you're back into fighting shape.
Sure. I just want to go back to bed.
That does do, like, holiday does do it, like, especially if you have like 1 week, like you think you will have more energy when you get out of it, but most of the time, because it just gives you like a time to relax, like you're gonna get a lot more tired in your holiday than you get like outside of it, because outside of it you're always like on this rhythm to like keep on going, and then you just like have time to relax, and it's like, oh, everything comes out.
Well, the worst thing is I'm such a bloody night owl, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm always like, yeah, my body naturally wants to go to sleep at like really late in the night,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's just I'm such a bloody night owl. I realize I haven't actually moved the display, so there we go. That's better.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, like, especially when you have to be up early for your work, which I know sometimes you do. You have to be up really. Like, I can
Yeah,
see how that conflicts really badly.
yeah.
So while you were away, were you able to play a little bit of the new update in Warframe? Were you able to play anything at all?
I've played a little bit of it. I haven't played a great deal. I kind of wish I had more of an opportunity to play it, but it just didn't happen, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, this week will be more than enough week to catch up. Let's get into the topics. Let's get a quick overview over this week's FrameCast. This week's FrameCast is going to be the regular old FrameCast kind of situation. It's been like off and on with like different FrameCasts. We had like 49, which was the one with the anime cast, and we had 50 and 51, and then last week we had Sandy the kick. And now we're back to normal again. So yeah, we're spicing it up. Let's take a look at what we have for today. As topics, we have, of course, Warframe Launcher's Heart of Deimos Open Worlds. And I think that we can talk about that briefly, because last week it wasn't out yet, and Sandy and I talked about like many things which could be speculating about it. Now we know what it is. We know how it's come up, so we can talk about that a little bit. We also have Fall Guys raises $1 million for the special effect charity in a bidding war for an in-game skin, which is an interesting one. And we also have Activision's announcement of Black Ops Cold War, and the way they have laid out the methods for paying for the game based on what console you wish to play on, and whether you buy the digital or physical copy of the game. So those are the 3 topics of today. They're going to be coming up. First, though, what have you played last week? You said you weren't able to play much of Warframe. Were you able to play much of anything else?
Don't hate me. So on mobile, I've been playing a lot of a game called Sinoalis. It's done by Yakataro and the guy that did Nier Automata.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been playing a lot of Cinemas. What are you doing with the webcam?
I had it very zoomed in.
I
For
thought you did. I genuinely thought you did. This is why I sat back and yeah.
No,
But yeah,
I was like trying to figure out like what was going on, because you were so super zoomed in if you weren't watching. But the reason why that was, I was thinking like, how is this possible? And then I realized like, oh shit, last week with Sandy he was super zoomed out, so I zoomed in the picture and I hadn't changed it back. So here we go. That's why it's live. But playing a mobile game by Nier Automata.
Yakataro. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and it's really interesting because the narrative is effectively the Grim Tales princesses, and it's not the Disneyfied version of these princesses. It's like the really, oh god, it's really interesting. It's a good game, and the thing that I like about it the most, multiplayer aspect, where every day you and a team of players come together, your guild come together for 20 minutes to just basically wail on another guild, and it's honestly that part is like really good fun.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's what I was doing if I was not playing Warframe last week.
I mean, I can definitely imagine that. It sounds like a lot of fun, and I think I definitely feel that we've had about 10 years ago. I think smartphones came around with mobile games like the 2010s. Yeah, that would be about right. And the first mobile games were like super like, oh yeah, we'll just play solitaire on it, or we had like the Angry Birds, which was like the most technologically advanced thing we had. And then we got a lot of like this ad trash kind of games. So during like the first half of the 2010s, like mobile gaming wasn't really a thing that you looked up to. I think that right now, for the last few years, we've been getting better and better mobile games. That like seriously, even when it's ported over from like PC games or console games like PUBG or Fortnite or Call of Duty that have been moved over to the platform to mobiles or mobile inbreds. Like I mean, I think Arturia was yesterday talking about Honkai Impact, which I know DK has been playing a lot. They really
Mm.
recommended it, and I've never played it, but seeing how DK has like made a lot of videos about it, I should probably give it a go. It's getting better, and that's good. I like that.
Yeah, I kind of wish that a lot of publishers and developers gave mobile gaming the respect it deserves, because yeah, okay, Cinealis is like another gacha, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's not the thing that I am personally a little bit wary of when it comes to gachas is that I really liked him at the beginning, and then when I get into it and like get going at a certain point, I'm like, yeah, I start to feel these game mechanics trying to tug on me to like keep going, keep spending every waking moment of your life in it. Like go on, spend money, go on, spend money, and then when it comes down to just like the gambling mechanic, where it's just like, oh, I'm gonna try to get, like, I need like two more characters, and I just cannot get this done, and you roll the same one for the 50th time. Like I can get so frustrated with that. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go back to like a story game on like the PlayStation. I can't wait to just go back to like a game I pay for and I have in my hands, and it's just there to entertain me, not squeeze every last dollar I have out of me. So I really, really can appreciate them, but like I need to take them uh I need to like take them with ease. I should not really
Yeah,
dive in.
no, it's so one thing to say about Cinealis is that it's gat mechanic. It's the real money equivalent is super repulsive, right?
Mhm.
It's £24 for a pull of 11 cards, right? So
Mhm.
like, it still has the RNG element. You only get one card pull, so so 24 quid per like pack. It's just like, fuck that noise.
Yeah.
Nah. But you can earn the in-game currency by playing the game itself.
Mhm.
And as time progresses, it gets harder and harder to earn it.
Mhm.
But just play the game. There is a lot of it available to you just by playing the game.
Yeah. Yeah, most of them, I feel if they want to be good, they'll realize that at a certain point, like you can't always squeeze money out of people. That being said, they are fucking profitable. Like remember that one story of that one guy who spent like
Oh
200K on
God,
some sort
yeah,
of mobile game?
Transformers, yeah.
As long as these whales, as they're called in the industry, are able to spend so much money on these mobile games, publishers, I feel, are not going to be very incentivized to bring, let's say, um like single player experiences or multiplayer experiences which aren't focused on like microtransactions, because they could just like, if they do it with microtransactions, if they do that with like squeezing every drop out of you, then they might get those whales. So
Mm.
I think that because the mobile platform has this stigma of like whales and ads attached to it, and people are very much against buying games on mobile, I think that's also a really important thing. it's not really common that you see people talking about a new mobile game that comes out and like, oh, I'm spending money on mobile games. Like no one that I'm really aware of does that a lot. So it's a tough market to like break through, and maybe one game will come around and like does something crazy. I don't know what Apple was planning with their like Apple Games platform. They've been like I think they announced that like half a year ago that they were like starting to do something with that. Who knows? Maybe that will turn out to do something. But yeah, so far mobile games
What,
are
what,
getting
what
more.
have
Yeah, go ahead.
what have you played?
I've gone ahead and played a little bit of Warframe, of course, because like the new update came out. So
Hmm.
I did the entire playthrough, which is processing now on YouTube. Should be probably out after the FrameCast. Just noticed as I was uploading that my entire 1.5 hour recording was out of focus. So that's the thing.
Oh, damn.
So, but yeah, aside from that, I'm really hoping that the thing I recorded the day after, which is like Ghost of Tsushima, which is 2 hours long, isn't out of focus. But we'll see. But I played Ghost of Tsushima a lot as well. It's a really fun game. I'm super enjoying that. Between episode 2 and 3 that I've recorded, I've done a lot of like side quests, and the game. Oh my god, I cannot believe it. You know how sometimes you play these story games and then like the side missions just don't have any voice actions or like voice actors to it. It's just like it's text, and you're like
Yeah,
wondering
it's
like,
it's just adding time to yeah.
yeah, and you're just like wondering like why did you not like why could you not like get people to voice act this? And then you come into this game and it's like everything is voice acted, like everything, and everyone
Mm,
has like new voices to it, new characters to it, and then also just random encounters will bring you to like new forts and new places, and it's like it's so well worked out. And then I just started also
mm,
playing a little bit of like Borderlands 3 on the site because I got access to that. I played Borderlands 2 like about a year ago, and I just needed something to play in between me like me waiting until I can continue with Ghost of Tsushima 4 for recording that, and the render of like this thing, or me doing some studies. So yeah.
fair.
Hmm. Let's move on, I guess, then to the next thing, which is community comeback. We actually got a comment from 2 weeks ago. Let's see. Let's see if we remember the topic. It was about Epic and Apple with the 30% cut, the 30% developer cut, where
Hmm.
Epic did the Fortnite thing. Funny, like interesting enough, actually, Apple afterwards, after the thing where they banned Fortnite, they also took away the Apple developer tools from Epic. Apple took,
Epic, yeah.
yeah. So that means that any games that rely on Epic's engine, which is the Unreal Engine, if I'm not mistaken, uh, any developers that use that engine cannot make any up to date apps anymore for the Apple platform. And Apple, like Epic, tried to sue that, but that didn't go quite through. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess. But anyway, we were talking about like the 30% cut. And Trex Paddock came around and said, I would agree that in a vacuum, a 30% cut seems large. However, in context, it's not. Firstly, it's a known factor. People want to make games for these devices know the deal before they start, or they should have at least known. To be pedantic for a moment, you can't sue two competing companies for having a monopoly. A from Greek monos, single alone, and polane to sell. A monopoly exists when a specific person or enterprise is the only supplier of a particular commodity. If you want to make widgets and sell them in shops, you'll be way less. You'll be getting way less than the 70% off the sticker price. I just did a bit of research, found a musician who crowdfunded and independently produced his last album got a staggering 55%. And also his up and download speeds were 6.66 megabytes with like the small b, if that's correct.
It's bits,
Megabits per download, and 0.56 megabits upload. Because you asked that question as well. So, what do you think?
Good question. What do I think? I
Okay.
think
Okay.
I think that okay, yeah, the comment of monopoly is interesting because obviously I remember explicitly stating the whole monopoly side of things with Apple. I don't think that Epic has a monopoly because you've got many different platforms. I might be taking this in the wrong direction. If I am, I apologize. But I do feel that Apple, they have the monopoly for their market because it's the only way to get any, unless you jailbreak your phone. It's the only way to get any apps on your phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's similar to browser extensions, right? The amount of effort it takes to get a browser extension on the Chrome extension store. I don't know what you call it, but the Chrome web browser extension store or whatever. Same with Firefox. The amount of the jump hoops you have to jump through, and if it fails, they don't tell you shit why it failed. You've got nothing to go. It failed. Why? I've put it in the developer mode. I've got it on the browser. It works perfectly fine. Why are you failing this? And you don't get any feedback. It's and
Mm-hmm.
but that's by the by. The whole point is that if you're stuck using that service, they don't have to provide you a competent service because you're stuck with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
for example, right? Car insurance, right? Car insurance doesn't have to provide you the best competitive rates because it is law within the UK and probably many other countries. You have to have car insurance. So you have to go with someone. So if they all go, well, if you have to go with me, so either me or one of my competitors, then fuck you. We'll just all jack up our prices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that one thing, I think one thing which you point out very well is like the jailbreaking on the Apple side of things. So when it comes to, I think we briefly touched on this in 2 weeks ago, though it has been 2 weeks, so I'll keep it wrong. But I think we kind of touched on the thing that when that right now with the development of tech companies and the way that they get bigger and bigger as in a kind of unprecedented rate as they've done before, we're created with this scenario where you have competing companies on a certain level, but on like a lower level, they have a monopoly over their own thing. So basically, when you look at YouTube has a certain monopoly in like the video space. If you look at Apple, like Apple on their own platform has the monopoly on servicing apps. Like you cannot install another app unless you jailbreak it, which is against kind of their terms of service. So if you want to be a legal good citizen, if you want to install an app, the only way to do is find the App Store, and that's pretty much a monopoly on that platform. Now you could say that yes, there is a competition, like there is competition between Android and Apple, but when it comes to Apple devices, it becomes a little bit more like, yeah, there's a monopoly on there, and because of how widespread integrated it is, one could argue that, yeah, I mean, maybe it's a public like it's more it's less of like a battle between like two phones and rather of like an ecosystem. And then comes case two, which I think is way more important, which I think Fortnite will or Epic will very much hang on to, is that Microsoft was like really hit hard with the Internet Explorer thing, where like back in the day Internet Explorer was like installed on your PC, and you could just go ahead and download another browser, but people like didn't do that because ease of use. And then like Microsoft had to like bring up this pop-up which said like you can also download other browsers, because they were considered like it was considered that Microsoft now had a monopoly with Internet Explorer because everyone had Internet Explorer on their thing as default, and they didn't know they could download anything else. And it's like that is way more like that's way less aggressive, way less monopolistic on their platform than Apple is right now with the App Store, where you can't even download something.
So just to elaborate further
Mm-hmm.
on what you're saying about the whole Internet Explorer thing. So way back when, we're talking like the early 90s, companies existed to create web browsers,
Mm-hmm.
right? They didn't that was their product. You had web browsers like Netscape. I don't know how many people in our audience even know what Netscape is, but that was one of the big first web browsers. But then when Microsoft turned around and said like, oh yeah, here's Windows, and it comes with Netscape. It was equivalent to saying, here's our Rolls-Royce car, and it comes with a chauffeur, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyone that was a chauffeur couldn't sell their services because you had a Rolls Royce and it came with a chauffeur. So the equivalent is that basically people that wanted to sell their product couldn't because people weren't looking for one. People weren't looking for a web browser because their computer with Windows already came with one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's a very similar case that we have right now with the Android platform, where because the Play Store is already installed, people don't really know that you can install apps via other ways. I know Samsung has had their Samsung market for a long time. I know Huawei is now making their own market because they can't use Android anymore. But I know from speaking with people that when you mention that you can download apps from outside the Play Store, they don't realize that that's real. But you can on
Yeah.
Android, but because it's like the standard option that's on there, like people don't look for it. And that's like I do feel that when Trex comes around and says like, "Hey, dude, like this 30% thing is kind of part of the deal when you join in with this with like this service." I can see that with Google because it's very much akin to Steam. Steam is not pre-installed, but at the same time, it's like Steam is a provider of like games on the PC platform, and pretty much like they also have very high rates of oh god what was the thing again? They have a very high tax. That was the wrong term, but like they have a very high tax, developer tax kind of thing. But people go with Steam because Steam is the primary platform. However, I don't think that you can sue Steam necessarily for being monopolistic because you can create your own app store or like a game store, and that's what Epic has done, and that's what like every single other publisher has done, then given up at some point. But Epic has done that, and now we have two, and you can do that on Google as well.
Actually, here's an example, right, where Steam, right, kicked off all of EA's games from the Steam platform for one simple reason. EA weren't updating the games on Steam. They were only updating the games if you had it on Origin, right? So say, I remember this around Crisis 2 era, but basically the last update, Crisis, I don't know if it was Crisis 2 or another game, but basically the last update for one specific game, they refused to release the update on Steam, which is against the terms and services of Steam, right? As a result, you know, they Steam were like, no, you've gone against our terms and services. They kicked them off, right? So it was such a big thing when EA and Steam got back into bed with each other because, you know, Origin's just such a steaming pile of shit.
It was,
but yeah, so
it was akin to when Ninja came back to Twitch after like throwing heat at them when he moved to Mixer.
Lol.
Oh
but
boy.
Anyway.
But yeah, no, like I think what you mentioned with the Microsoft case, that sounds very strongly. I think that's a very strong comparison to the Google case right now. However, I think that when you take the Google case and the Apple case that Fortnite has right now, I think the Google case is the weakest case that they have right now, even though that's so similar to the Microsoft case. Because, like, with Google, you can still say, and I fully agree with Trex in here, where it's like, hey, if Google Play Store has like a 30% tax on it, like you know what you sign up for. You can create your own Epic Game Store on Android and go ahead, do your thing. No one's stopping you. But on Apple, like you don't have any other choice. You cannot do it in any legal way. Install another app store on like this platform, and yeah, part of the way it's like it's a private platform. It's like, yeah, you can do with it what you want because it's your own company, but at the same time it's got such an impact, it's got such an influence over so many people, and so like such a widespread public influence that at some point you gotta wonder, like, if Microsoft had to like give options for a browser even though people could freely install one, then why don't Apple have to give options for developers or people that want to download apps when there aren't even any options, even if people want to look for it, which aren't illegal? So that's what I think comes down to the community response. If you want to add anything more, let me know.
I think one of the last comment I want to make is, in case people aren't aware, after this whole thing with Google and Epic, I do mean Google and Epic, when Google said, yeah, you can't develop on the Play Store, because you can actually install apps on Android devices without going through the Google Play, whatever.
Mhm.
Basically, Epic turned around and said, "This is how you update our game without using the Play Store." And
Mhm.
it was hilarious.
Yeah. I oh yeah, by the way, another fun thing is that like secondhand iPhones go for different prices now, but they have gone for $2,000 where like it's like an iPhone with Fortnite on it.
Okay.
So if you had an iPhone and you installed Fortnite on it, you could be rich or not. Like there's also like some which are like, oh, that's just like almost normal iPhone pricing. But some people pay up a lot for it, so they've been going on for interesting prices. But they did the same thing with Flappy Bird. Remember when Flappy Bird like got removed and then people paid like tons of money for phones with Flappy Bird on it?
Oh God, yeah, actually,
So yeah,
yeah,
it's a
that was
collector's
meant.
item. All right, let's see. I think we can get to topics now. Which topic shall we do first? I think that we can better take like two big topics and sandwich the Fall Guys smaller topic in between. So, do you want to get started with Warframe?
If you want, I can't really. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Want to wait?
Well, I mean, I've not got much exposure to it. If you're happy to lead this topic, go for it. Yeah.
All right, so
I'll-
I'll tell you how far like what I've all done, and then we can like go on from there.
Cool.
I've done the quest. Actually no,
Mhm.
I've logged in, and then I've done the quest. And
Mhm.
after that, I probably got up to a couple of ranks, like 2 ranks on the Entrati standing and 2 ranks on like the Coils
The Lloyd.
standing, the droid standing. I haven't done any of the mecha running about yet because I don't have my own mecha. I haven't done any of the sacrificing Warframe stuff yet because I haven't gone to rank 3 yet. So I've played a bit of it. I haven't played entirely throughout it. But what I have done is play the quest, which I think was rather interesting. I have seen the scenery, which is where the open world is set in. I've seen how they've developed this open world, what they've gone about with their approach compared to previous open world launches, and yeah, I've done some bounties. So that's as far as I've done. How about you?
So I'm pretty much at the same place as you, but from the sounds of it, I've done more of the isolation vaults, which is such a dumb. The the whole point is there's supposed to be a barometric chamber, which is supposed to help depressurize and repressurize your internal body for high pressures or low pressure environments. Like it's a vault. That's not what vaults are for, okay? But regardless of that, I so let's I want to talk about the quest last. Right?
Okay.
The family. How do you feel about the family itself?
All right. So, with the new update in Warframe Heart of Deimos, we've been introduced to a new family on the infested planet of Deimos, Star of Deimos, Moon of Deimos, whatever. I personally
Moon.
feel that they're an interesting cast of characters. I really like the voice acting on it. I really like how they've actually slimmed down on characters. Because we now have 5. We have a father, a mother, a son, a daughter, and a grandmother. We have 5 characters right there, and of course the droid who kind of counts for 2, but like it's a little claptrap guy.
Yeah.
Compared to Cetus and compared to Fortuna, if I have to think back to Cetus, the only person that I really remember was Kansu, because like early launch for Kansu was kind of a meme. If I think back about
Hananak
yeah, though I've never
and
done.
Tisanine.
Yeah, but I actually you remember more
The
than
reason
me, I
why I
guess.
remember the only reason why I remember Tisanai is because apparently Reb couldn't pronounce his name properly. But I mean, Tisanai didn't get a name until
Well,
later
wasn't that
on.
like the Beastmaster that got added later on?
Yeah. And then there's Hawks of Hawks Anvil, but I don't remember the fish or the miner. I
Yeah.
don't remember either of those two.
And
But
there's
yeah,
also a lot of other like NPCs walking around the background. And then
fucking
Fortuna, I remember
yeah.
like Little Duck, the business. Oh God, I already forgot her name. The one that you take missions from, but I'll probably remember her name. And
Yuko.
you have like yeah Yuriko, yeah, and then you have Legs. Was that his name? Oh, God, I
Yeah,
don't. But
yeah, Thursby.
it's like four characters that I remember at most, but also not really very well. And there's a lot of like side NPCs that are running around. And right now, like you really have a slimmed down cast of characters within this hub world, and it really makes it very focused. It's like it's very easy to remember who's all there. It's very easy to remember like their personalities and what makes them unique. And I think that really benefits my connection to the people that are there. How do you feel about them?
The only two you're missing on Fortuna is Tika and Zood.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, and the bloody event kids, but
Yeah.
um I so talking about the family itself, I like the family. I really
Mm-hmm.
like Kaylee's character. Um I really like I swear love of God, father, I can't remember his name, is voiced by Steve Blum. I swear love of God, it's Steve Blum. And mother is portrayed really, really well. Son, I have a problem with Son. He's got barely any dialogue in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's a real shame. Like, why couldn't they? I think he says maybe two things in the entirety of the quest, and that's it. Grandmother, I really don't like. I don't like her character at all. And yeah, unless you want to elaborate, should we talk about the environment?
Does the dislike of grandmother have to do with the story
Yeah,
implications?
yeah,
All right, so then we'll get to that later.
yeah.
All right, well then the environment. Honestly, the environment I think is one of the most exciting environments or like most enjoyable environments I've seen in a long time. Warframe has always had this hallway approach for like the longest time, in which they kind of excel very well in how to do a open style procedurally generated hallway approach, and that was kind of their specialty until the open world idea came around. And the open world idea came around, and everyone was like kind of wowed by like the plains of Eidolon. And that was cool for like the first couple of times, but that got really old for me because it was just like plains. It was just like flat. Like you felt like you were kind of. It wasn't really all that interesting. You'd seen the thing. It was kind of like a sandbox. It really felt like that. And Fortuna was such a big place with so many like things all around where you never got to, so many craters or things you never explored, that it just felt like a giant box, well, just like a giant snowy landscape of nothingness that you just have to traverse from one point to the other. And this right here feels, it's a lot smaller. Definitely a lot smaller if you open up the map, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like you're constantly in a different scene, even though you're not really using an Archwing, you're not really using big transportation, you're just walking around, you constantly feel you're in a new place. Enemies just spawn up because they spawn on the ground, because that can happen in the infested world. And whenever you're done with a mission and you feel like you've traversed into the entire place where you've never been before, you turn around and there is a giant ball sack of safety, and you can just like walk back. And I think that from all the open worlds, the environment right now is one of the best.
I want you to take a note for 4 episodes time,
Mm-hmm.
or 3 episodes time, so it's a month. So for us to reassess,
Yeah.
because I feel that right now the new environment of Deimos is the best.
Mm-hmm.
I love the complexity, the verticality, and how compressed everything is, how close together it is. There isn't a giant need to Arcwing around. If you do the isolation vaults, you'll quickly discover there is.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that right now it's great. But how many times doing the same thing before it wears thin, right?
Yeah.
This is where
Mm-hmm.
I'll come back to this when I elaborate on the isolation vaults.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like the fact that it feels like the whole of Deimos is actually utilized compared to probably, I want to say, an eighth or a tenth of Orb Valis has anything going on. You know, all the bounties are just centered around Fortuna. Like there are no bounties that stay on the outskirts. It's bad. So that I at least truly respect with Deimos. I kind of wish Arkwing wasn't in it. How do you feel about the token system for the rep?
All right, so the token system has been a hot button issue on stream. We've talked about it a little bit already. Basically, the way that this thing is set up, previously you could get standing from doing different activities, which included bounties, little missions, or doing hunting or fishing or mining. And you'd get standing for that, and you have the standing cap of like 20,000 or whatever, depending on like your rank. And basically that meant that the moment you hit your standing cap, there was no reason in doing anything anymore. So I like the idea of the token system because you kind of got to keep the standing cap where people complete it in a day. And I guess if there are reasons for having that standing cap, that's fine. But this at least allows you that, like, hey, if I want to grind 24 hours really, really hard, I can just do that, and in the coming days, I can just come back and cash them in. I don't have to like worry about my standing cap. I like that. There is different tokens though, which I don't necessarily have a problem with because let's say I'm mining or prefers like doing missions. Mining is going to take more time or hunting is going to take more time. So that should probably be worth more because it's going to take more time and I'm going to get less done in that time than doing a bounty. The way they've done it is by different tokens for different characters, and they're fine until you gotta use those tokens to come in and be like, progress for the next level, hand in this many tokens of like father, son, or daughter. And father and daughter are kind of alright because you can just pick up the reward, pick up the things as you go along. So it's just resources catering to fishing or catering to just general resources. And they're like limited time offers where you have to like hand them in and then you get tokens. They can be quite nasty because they're kind of like the alert system where you got to be on time for like the right ones. If they're all gone or you just got nasty ones, then well, yeah, you got to wait a couple hours before they refresh, which I don't quite like. And then the sun tokens, you got to do the conservation in order to get them, and there's no way to exchange them in between. There's the only way to get them is like you could pay for platinum or something. And I'm not a big fan of it. I'd rather had seen just like a single token system, and then like if you do conservation, if you do hunting, if you do fishing or something, you just get like 5 tokens or something if you wanted the value to be 5 times more, because it just needlessly complicates things, and I don't really quite like that. How about you?
I agree with you for the most part. There's actually one token that you forgot about, which was the OTAC tokens, right, the mining ones. But like literally, I've just hopped into the game right now to actually do it because while we were talking, like I should have realized while I was working, I could have just kept on exchanging resources for tokens. I didn't actually think about that at all. But doing the isolation vaults rewards you a lot of resources that you can use to exchange for the tokens, right? So I'm not quite sure if you're aware of that.
Yeah, I know about that.
The issue is you don't really get any resources, as far as I understand it, you don't really get any resources for sun, right? And that bugs me. You have to do conservation in order to get sun tokens or spend platinum to get them. And that to me is just like, I have to go out and do this special thing just for these tokens, and it's a bit naff. The rest of them are fine. The ones that like I wouldn't mind the sun ones by themselves. The ones that I do not like because I feel it adds needless complexity is the grandmother tokens.
Oh yeah,
right? Because they basically 1.5 times multiply the value of the tokens that you hand in. So if you hand in 1,000 worth rep of mother tokens, you get 1.5 thousand reps worth of grandmother tokens. Okay, that's fairly cool, but unless you explain, that's needlessly complicated.
Yeah,
right. It's yeah, go on.
It also kind of, I feel it plays a lot on like, why do you get that bonus? Like you always gotta wonder like, why do you get this bonus if I hand you this tokens, why do you give me more? And I think the thing is that most of these grandmother tokens require you to hand also in son tokens or father tokens or daughter tokens, which you will not have a lot of. So then, like, if you have gone ahead and tried to do these tokens, it's like, okay, now I've got some son tokens, I can rank up, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna buy some grandmother tokens. Like, okay, cool, now I can rank up, and then you need these son tokens again. You need to go out and hunting again. So if you want to get like standing fast, like fine, that's cool. But if you require these again specific tokens for ranking up, and you got to figure out every time before you rank up, like, how much do I need for this? It's so complicated. I'm like, I haven't even tried it because I'm like, I gotta save every single token. I'd rather waste like 10 more mother tokens because who cares? They're kind of like, I can get them with ease. But these like shitty things where I get like, I have so many tokens before like ranking up. Oh, I hate that. So yeah,
we should go do some isolation vaults because it gives you so many resources that
it does. Like
you're laughing.
I do those, but the sun tokens, like as you said, you can't get them for doing isolation vaults.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Right, so I've just exchanged my crap in order to get my tokens. Sorry,
hell yeah.
So yeah, I don't like the double layer to it. And I kind of wish that it was explained, but I think DE are reliant on content creators to do that job, right? Is there any other point I want to highlight? Is there any point you want to highlight apart from the quest?
I think that there's something which I want to talk with you about after we talk about the quest, which is more concerning the like I think you hinted at it as well with like in 3 weeks we should come back and see how we feel about it, because I do think, I mean, we can talk about it now. It doesn't really have to do with the quest.
Go on.
So like this is the third open world that Warframe has done. And I think that so far, right now, we're very early game. But I think that if I had to choose between all the open worlds, this one feels like it's been done the best so far for me. We haven't seen any like spider fights or Eidolon fights yet, so that's still to come. But from like the initial experience, it's very well done. It feels like they've learned over their 2 previous iterations. Third time is the charm. It definitely feels like that. However, I also feel like we've seen we're seeing the repetition set in, because if you enter the world, it feels very brand new. If you enter the story, it feels very different than previous stories, and we'll get to that later. But once that's done, like for me, the way that I felt it is that the story and the environment did a very well job to conceal the open worldiness of Heart of Deimos. So it concealed very well until I suddenly realized, like, oh shit, this is again just another hub area. This is again just another like walking through the gates, get into your mission. This is again another do these 5 bounties across the entire field until you're up to rank 5, and do all these things until you're up to rank 5 with the second thing. And I've done that 2 times before. So I'm not saying that this is probably a bad thing right now. I think it's perfect because 4 times a charm. But I'm wondering when it comes to a next open world, let's say Plains of the Fury, which has been like rumored to maybe be an open world, or if they want to do another open world, like, should they do it in a different way? Like, I think that the way that they've done the bounties right now, we've seen that 3 times. Like, should they continue that? Or, because I feel like it starts to feel a little bit boring, but I can also understand, like, maybe if this is what you really enjoy the grind, you can't get enough of it. Maybe, like, it shouldn't change, but I think that there's multiple ways in which you can do it in the open world. Or you can take a different approach in open world. Like last stream, I think it was Nvidia that suggested, when we were also touching on this topic, that maybe Plains of the Fury shouldn't be like an open world, but maybe more like a dungeon way, where you're like going through the plains, and you dive deeper into the plains, and maybe every so many levels like something changes, like the environment changes or something like that. So there you could also approach something like Plains of the Fury or next projects in a different way than another open world, because we've had 3 of them. But do we need more of them? Like, how do you feel about that? Do you feel in any way that, like, you're doing something which you've done before, like, a couple of times? And even if you feel like that, is that positive or negative? And are you happy with doing it, like, so many more times? Or do you think that maybe Plains of the Fury should be a little bit different?
I felt that the second I stood out in Deimos, it was just like, yep, this is just another open world. Okay. There's nothing bad about that. Like when Deadlock Protocol came into effect, sorry, my brain's just frozen. When Deadlock Protocol came into effect,
something happened.
Right,
Deadlock Protocol
it was just
happened.
The same. Yeah, the Deadlock Protocol just happened now.
Yeah.
When the Deadlock Protocol came into the game, when it was released, it was the same thing we had before, right? It was what was the difference between Deadlock Protocol and the Jupiter rework, right? What was the difference between Deadlock Protocol and the I'm trying to think of another tile set that was released. Like the whole point is that it was the only thing that I suppose was different and maybe intriguing about the Deadlock Protocol is the whole gauntlet thing, right?
Yeah.
The whole secondary objective thing. But to me, I don't know about our audience right now, but to me, I mean that secondary objective is done and dusted. I ain't touching that again. You know, I got my pro tier. I'm not
Yeah.
big
It's
big whoopie
there.
doo.
Yeah.
You know, someone wants to get pro tier, I'll help them out. Not a problem. But that's why I feel that it wasn't elaborated that much. Like they didn't do that much to expand it, right? And the same with Deimos. I feel that the expansion was the inclusion of the procedurally generated caves, but I do not think that it's that big of an inclusion, right? Like, I remember when they revealed it, I just fangasmed absolutely everywhere and, you know, burst the eardrums of everyone I was in Discord with. But when it's come into the game, to me, you're barely in there. You're in there for like all of 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah, and then
like, leave me in there for a bit longer, right? And I think that with Deviri, they're going to slowly expand it. They're going to go in different directions. Maybe they will improve conservation to the point of you can ride the animals. I mean, they put velocipods on the plains. Maybe they could do that with horses, and now you can suddenly start riding horses. You know, I think whatever they do, they will release one major thing, right? I use air quotes. One substantially different thing, and then they will iterate on what they've already previously done. Like when they released Orb Valis, and they had the the bounties that you could get in the Valis, and then they brought that to the plains of Eidolon, right? I think they're going to see how Deimos is how the minor changes to Deimos is going to be wanted in the previous stuff, like in Fortuna and in Plains of Eidolon, in All Valis and Eidolon. So Deviri or other open worlds, I think they're all going to be a small step forward, nothing big.
I think, like, I would guess if I look at like the way they're doing it, that's probably not going to change. But like the thing that I feel between the difference between like a Deadlock Protocol or like these tile set changes is that they're cool updates, but they're not like the main focus of the game. And I think that the way that the Fury was, Deimos was announced this year, Stenocons is like the big update of 2020. It's like Railjack was a big update of 2019. Fortuna 2018.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, like these are like the title updates that they're going for.
Yeah.
And I think that if you want to continue open worlds, like they could be cool as like the side updates. But if you continue open worlds as like the main updates, I mean, again, this could be very personal because maybe the majority of the community loves to like grind out open worlds, and maybe it's just me that has like done them, and like I'm like, seen them, done them. But in the current form, I feel we've 3 of these iterations. I think there could be way cooler ways of like approaching open worlds. Maybe one, like I like the idea of like the cave system, but then like as you say, like you're not in there really often. But the way that like doing 5 bounties and having the entire thing unlocked, I'm like, maybe you could do an open world where like maybe during like the first level of your what the thing is called, the first level of your syndicate, you can only enter this area, and then like another area unlocks, and then like physical changes happen within the world, so it feels different. maybe it's not the same system. And I'm really curious as to like how it's going on, like how it's going to continue. I think compared to Railjack, this was a much more successful launch of something. I think that it was a good way to return to something which they did, which I've done before, and do it a little bit better. But I don't. But I'm wondering like whether, at least for me personally, and like that's very much a me thing. But whether for me personally, it's gonna be as exciting to do another open world, because I've done it 3 times now. I've done 3 times like the same thing where it's like here you have an here you have an up area, you have the entire open world open for you from the moment you start on. Go do mining, hunting, fishing, and go do like 5 levels of bounties. Then get up in the standing and then leave it. And it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I've done it 3 times. Seems for me the charm. I would love it for if they did like Planes of the Fury like in a different way where I'm like, oh shit, I've never thought of that.
I think one thing I would like to see them do
Mm-hmm.
is the depths of Uranus or something like this, where literally the open world is underwater, right?
Mm-hmm.
This would give them the reason to fucking revamp Sharkwing. Sorry, maybe a
Yeah.
little too harsh, but like, you know, I want them to revamp Sharkwing, and you could actually have your railjack in there, right? So you're treating a railjack like a submarine, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have enemies coming at you from all different directions. Make it so that you can't see very far in front of you, very much like, Subnautica, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, because light does not permeate water that well at all, right? So, you know, you could use, and then you could do another thing where, like, the Arcwings are infinitely faster than the Railjack, and you could remote control your Railjack. So, like, right, I'm going to go over here. Like, a bunch of us are going to go
Mm-hmm.
down this cave network, right? We're going to fly there in our Arcwings. We'll do that now. We'll hopefully not get hit by a whale shark, right? And I'll remote control pilot the Railjack to wait for us outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you go into the underground caves, you do the whole mission in the completely revamped shark. I mean, by completely revamped, I mean it's just faster, right?
Yeah.
The revamped Sharkwing, and then you come back out, and you know your Railjack has arrived at the destination. And maybe the whale shark will appear. They starts attacking your Railjack, and then you use the Railjack guns. You know, it'll give incentive to improve Railjack, and maybe they could actually introduce, hey, now you can like leave the orbit of, you know, Uranus, Venus,
Mm-hmm.
Earth, Deimos in your Railjack.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they could give that as a bit of a reason.
That would be really cool. Something which I would love, like it in such a world, is let's say that like you enter the hub area, but like the hub area is not like a standard hub area in an open world. It's kind of like this tower down into the depths of Uranus.
Yeah.
And then like if you're level 1 syndicate, you just have access to one level, because you say light doesn't permeate water, so you can only go to a certain depth, because at that point like it's dark, and you gotta like the story is you gotta go and farm the resources and turn on like the bounties aren't just all like 1 to 5 bounties, but they're also just like bounties which you have to do. So you have to go to like a lighting post or like a power post or something and fix that, and it's one thing you can do. You can do it over and over again to like farm the resources, but like you have to do that. And once you've done those things, then like you go to level 1, and then I reach level 1, and all of a sudden, boom, there's like the elevator, it goes down to level 1, and like the tower goes deeper, and people that are at level 1 don't have access to that. So there's actually like a reason for you to progress into the environment, because you can go and explore new depths. I think that would be way more engaging with the open world, and a different way of approaching it. I think that would be cool. So
cool. Right, quest.
Ooh.
Bloody quest.
Oh boy.
Do you want to start, or shall I do it first?
I'm gonna start by saying I just hit publish on my video about the quest, and the thing is that video is rather positive. So yeah, my mind has changed a little bit. So let's start with what you think, and then I'll jump in on that. Let's go.
I am not happy with the sheer volume of narrative happening within Warframe, the plot, not the lore, the plot, which is happening now, how much of it is it only exists when you're there, right?
Mm.
So the problem with Deimos didn't exist until you arrived, right? Because you are needed for the narrative. The problem with the Deadlock Protocol, like, you know, do you know how the Deadlock Protocol starts?
Oh boy, let me think again. Basically, it starts with oh god, it was like the thing of like you discover like Nefanyo talking about things, and then he's talking about that he has like a predecessor, and then you hear like, oh yeah, it's because like you discover him talking
It's
about it.
before that.
Hold
It's
on,
before that,
what
right?
is it?
So there's a cutscene
Mm.
where 7 ballots cast,
Oh yeah.
7 for, 7 against. The Deadlock Protocol has been initiated. The fleet has been refurbished.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but what the fuck were they voting on?
Yeah.
Like, what account? It's like, look, I made this joke with Lost. What account were they actually expensing lunch on? You know,
Yeah,
because
we don't know.
it makes no sense.
Also, one thing which I very quickly want to point out as a side topic, I know, but these comments where they throw in like the fleet has been refurbished, or the
Oh.
like the thing, like they also made a hint towards Saku, like composed by from many different sources, like a hint that like the community made it. It's like, yeah, it's funny for like people that are doing the update now, but no one's gonna get the reference that like the fleet has been
Yeah.
refurbished, because like it would be so cool
They're not
if
gonna see it.
would be so cool if before you did that quest it was all the old tile set and then it was the new tile set, but
Yeah.
they're not gonna do that because that's way too resource heavy. But then like, why include that line? It's like, it makes no sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the bloody old tiles still exist technically
Mhm.
with the old Corpus ships.
Yeah.
The infested tiles and things like that. But regardless of that, right?
Yeah.
So the plot doesn't make sense,
Mhm.
right? Let's have a look at the Rope-a-Dope list, right?
Yeah.
So, like, Nefanyo got in. Sorry, not Nefanyo. What's his name? Alad V.
Yeah.
Alad V got into a relationship with what's the name of the character? I can't remember.
Was it
It's some corpus dude that turns out to be a sentient mimic. I was like,
Yeah.
but he was a mimic all along, and now we have amalgams.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? The narrative is written in such a way that it only seems to happen when you are there. You are like the
Actually,
cameraman
yeah.
of, you know, where is the grudge match between, let's say, Tilragor and Nefanyo, and Tilragor's taken over Fortuna, and you turn up to Fortuna once and like,
Mhm.
what the fuck? When did this happen? Right? None of that exists. Absolutely none of it. Where's the oh god, the Myconians? Is that the name of the
Yeah, some
faction?
sort
I
of,
can't remember.
yeah.
Myconians.
No,
Now,
okay.
why hasn't Arlo turned up to Deimos? Why hasn't this happened? Why hasn't, like, it only happens when you're there.
Mhm.
And that's the thing that really bugs the shit out of me when it comes to
The story.
the Heart of Deimos quest. Yeah.
Yeah, like actually, now you mention it, so like last week we talked with Sandy a little bit about the way that they develop things, and the way that their development most of the time seems to be very oriented on like short term. It's like fix things,
Yeah.
see how we can grab attention, and move on. And after playing this, like Nvidia also just said in chat like a couple of minutes ago, maybe half an hour ago, I don't know how long ago, but they mentioned that one thing that they that they were annoyed by the family is that the family is very interesting. They're like Orokin, but they know that we're Tenno, but they kind of dance around that fact. They kind of dance around like, oh yeah, and that is one thing where I think that right now I believe that Warframe's story has been standing still since, I think, War Within or Sacrifice. Like, we haven't seen much progress beyond that. And like the thing that I find really annoying, and I've said this before, is that I find it really annoying that we are in 2020, 5 years after the second dream, which is like one of the big quests in Warframe that like was very important to everyone, and we're still hush hush about like, oh, you can't say the spoiler about Tenno and stuff. Oh, you can't say that because it's spoilers.
Whatever.
And it's like literally by this point, this spoiler, which was so important 5 years ago, should be moot because we should have so many more engaging and interesting things that are happening in this world
Yeah.
that this should just be something. Oh yeah, dude, you're Tenno. Pff, who cares about that? Because
Yeah.
Lotus betrayed and Stalker this and that, but like after like that cinematic short, you kind of like when Plains Phylon came around, we kind of start with this approach where it's like, oh, let's think of a short-term story which kind of fits into this narrative that we have, and let's pursue the narrative afterwards. So like all the quests that we've gotten so far, the things which you were mentioning with like the rope-a-dope list and like the Deadlock protocol, but also all the open worlds are just side stories because they don't progress anything. I find it so weird that like we're meeting, also like that was also being said in chat, like we're meeting these Entradi, and we're meeting this way of like subsuming our warframes without knowing that we are Tenno because it's kind of being kept hush hush, and it's like, okay, so like if we don't know that we're Tenno, then like isn't it super weird that we're sacrificing ourselves to this thing? Because and it's so weird. Like I do not get why we cannot, why the story has to be ground still to a halt right now for like 5 years time, 3 years time, 4 years time, however long you want to count it for. Why has the story been standing still, and why are we all doing this like little side quest thing? Like it just feels like they're like stories right now. The lore right now feels just like, what could they stumble upon now? What could they see now? We need something to happen to them. What could happen now? What if they were like Orokin and they just came out of the sky with like infested planet. But what?
Don't get me wrong, right?
Mhm.
I love the fact that Orokin.
Yeah,
Right.
me too.
I love the fact that they are infested. Right.
Yeah.
I dislike the fact that the only thing that's said in passing about them being infested is a comment about how Sun tracked the infestation in on his shoe. Right. Like I dislike that. Because come on, you could elaborate on that so much more. But there's a huge fucking glaring plot hole, and like. I don't know how no one else has spotted this.
Mm-hmm.
The heart. What is the heart supposed to do?
Well, they say that it pumps the void into the universe, so that gives you your powers, as far as I understand it.
Right. So, second dream, right?
Yeah.
The big cutscene in the second dream. What happens?
Well, we find out that we are Tenno all along. They were hidden in the void in Lua. And once we get out, all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, our connection has been severed, type of deal.
So yeah, our connection's been severed, and
we're powerless until
are
we're
we powerless?
Well, actually not, because we just can't control Warframe until we're put back into like the transference state because we haven't learned the controlling thing.
Can't we control our Warframe?
Only if we touch them.
Yeah. We touch our Warframe and our Warframe turns back on.
Yeah,
it's
actually,
like we're some kind of Duracell battery or some shit.
Actually, yeah.
And we're shooting lasers from our fucking hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand, like, why, like, why are we affected by the fucking heart?
See, this is something where like these two, like these things, where it's like this approach of introducing new things without them like feeling like the world is alive, and all this side story quests while the main story has been ground to a halt are very much conflicting. Because I would be happy to assume a heart as long as it had to do with the progression of the world. So, like, the first thing that I thought when I saw Mother mentioned like her father or something. No, her father or like her husband. When she mentioned Dad or something, I was like, are they related to Ballas maybe? Maybe we get to learn more about Ballas with this open world. But obviously that wasn't the case. And it's like I could understand, like, it would be really cool if there was like some sort of, if like the story was told like this, where it's like, okay, so we've had the second dream, we've had the war with them, we've had the sacrifice, we've had like Lotus. I mean, like, come on, can we just kill off the Lotus place, or like have something happen? Can we just close off that chapter and then move on? Where like maybe the next step is where it's like, oh shit, now like this heart has been completely functional and fine, so we didn't have to bother about it because this has always been the background. But like last month, Sun came in with some infested under his shoe. However, fucky that explanation is. And now it is about to die. We never told you about it because Lotus never knew about it. We'll never knew about it because it always functioned fine. But now all of a sudden, this needs to be fixed. Oh boy. But it's just like it's not like that. It's not exploring the world further. It's just like, no, we're still the exact same stage. It's all the same. And this has always been here. It's like, what the fuck is going on here?
Nvidia says, or Nvidia rather, sorry, says the existence of the heart changes everything in the war. If the sentients get to the heart, we lose.
Yep.
Why? We will just fall out of our Warframe, hold it, and then start pew pew laser beaming everything again.
Yeah, well, unless the narrative is. I mean, like, they literally said right now, and maybe we have to go with the most up-to-date information if there's conflicting information. Because it's, like, the other source, which is also right from the game, where they said, like, yeah, if the heart stops, we all die. You can't do anything anymore. So, like, yeah, like, basically what Nvidia says, like, why didn't Hanhao, who knew, like, everything, why didn't he just go for the heart? Because that was just, like, that wasn't even the void. That was just, like, kind of, like, orbiting Mars somewhere. And it's like, oh, yeah, let me just stab the heart.
No. See that's another thing that was horrendously glazed over, is the fact that they moved Deimos out of the orbit of Mars, right? To where?
It cannot have been in the void because...
No, because otherwise the heart wouldn't do shit.
No.
Right? So it's like, I don't get this.
Also,
why makes no sense.
Yeah. Also, why did they do that? Because literally, when you're like, I can understand if the narrative was that, like, okay, this heart was super important, and like it's just got infested. We moved it to Mars so you guys can help us out. But you come there, and everyone's like, "Oh no, we're beyond saving. Why should we bother?" Oh no, it's like, so who moved it then? Who brought this thing down? Why did you do it? If no one on that entire moon cares about dying.
Oh, so the whole point is, and again, like, so the idea was, as far as I can gather, and I've pieced this together with other people, Grandmama, right? She collaborated with Lloyd to bring Deimos back into orbit with Mars so she could attack the heart to bring the family back together and have you help the family put the heart back together. Yeah, that's how fucking contrived the plot is.
I mean, honestly, like, I was so, like, okay, so, like, I'm gonna say, like, I'm gonna say right now, if you, after this live stream, you go watch my latest YouTube video, it's gonna be the Heart of Deimos playthrough, and I really enjoyed it, because I was seeing things which, obviously, didn't come true, and, honestly, like, I think that there's many, many missed opportunities, because of, when I came into Deimos, like, the thing is, and this is something which I've mentioned to you before, last week. It's like, I've come from Ghost of Tsushima, playing Nier Automata, playing Borderlands. Like, the last couple of months, I've been playing a lot of story games. So I wasn't really into the mindset of, like, this is an open world and such. I didn't even realize when I went into the hub area for the first time, it was the hub area. I was like, oh, we're just moving into a different place, because, like, that's the way story games go. And it's, oh shit, mission complete. Oh, okay, so this is the hub area. All right. So I wasn't expecting certain things, because I wasn't expecting, like, a Warframe up there. I was just, like, seeing, like, oh, hey, new piece of content, let's see what it does. And because of that, I was I was looking at this, like, oh shit, this was, like, I played it for about an hour and 20 minutes. I didn't feel like I slowed down much. I didn't feel like I farmed too much or, like, did too much. It was, like, about an hour and 20 minutes. I had a lot of fun playing that. I was like, okay, so if this is, like, an introduction, because, like, what did we do? We barely did anything. We solved, like, Grandma's plot, and we kind of get the family together, but they're not really happy together yet. It's like, what if that's the first hour and 20 minutes? We do a quest like that. Then the next hour and 20 minute quest, which will be coming out in a couple of months, we'll have a quest where it's like, you know, we really resolve the family issues, all happy together. Or, like, we find a cure, and, like, you see them turn back into, like, a full-grown Orokin. They're being healed. What if the other thing is, like, we clear off the infestation, like, after, like, 2 years or 2 years time, we've had, like, 6 quests or something like this, and then, like, Deimos looks entirely different, and we move on. But yeah, of course, no, that wasn't the case. And the last thing which I was so, like, if that wasn't the case, I was so hoping that this pre-Old War machine, which was so interesting. Like, I thought that could really have worked well. There's, like, first-generation Warframes, where it's like, yeah, they were, like, machines like you, but they weren't, like, Infestio-like, and they weren't as great, but they worked. Like, that was really, really fun. I love that idea. And then, like, when you see that thing come up and blow up the heart, I'm like, dude, maybe that's like an old war person that has some vengeance on the Tenno, and there's like some story there. We have to go for that Void Gate where they came from, and we have to like learn about them and learn about their culture and find it. No, it's grandma.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I genuinely wish that we basically defeated that necromech, sacrificing Snake.
Yeah.
I love the reference, by the way. And that necromech flies through the wall, through the door, back into the void, and then it's like to be continued. Because honestly, when it was, it turned out to be Grandmama, I was just like, are you fucking? Is this genuinely an episode of Scooby Doo?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Definitely. So Nvidia says, when we expand energy as our operator, even when we've had our super laser, we had to wait for a little bit to recharge our void energy. We have to get our energy from somewhere.
Yeah, food.
From food.
Why we don't eat, we don't poop. Like, why, a 0-point energy module is supposed to be infinite energy with no mass. I mean, why do we have to, like, we're a MacGuffin. We're the fucking one ring to rule them all. Like, why? I don't understand. This feels like you've had decades of Superman comics, and then, oh, by the way, here's kryptonite. And I'm like, oh no, my one weakness. Oh, whatever will I do?
Actually,
only if I knew about this 30 years ago.
Actually, it's more like 30 years of Superman comics, and then all of a sudden it's like you wake up and like the first page of the comic is like, oh no, it's a bad day. Someone took away Superman's chocolate supply. It's like, why? Well, because as we all know, for the past 30 years, Superman has been getting his powers for eating chocolate every day, and if he doesn't eat chocolate, he doesn't have powers. We all knew that. We never said that, but we all knew that. Now he doesn't have it. Now he's gonna have it because... Anyway, Sentient Female is saying something where Mother specifically said it pumps the arteries of the here and the void. They also mentioned that the heart stopping would create an interdimensional catastrophe. There are many things that could bring reason to this. Firstly, the heart could keep things stable, as how Lloyd mentioned in one of the bounties, something about saying here or in the right time. They are also somewhat part of the void in some form of our reality. The rifts of Lua, the finger of Railjack. The void is timeless. Also, why are the Entrati? Also, that's why the Entrati calls it the untime, or it feeds off time. It watches the past, the memories, and dreams about the future. Yeah.
So what? It's Dormammu.
Yeah, it's.
Like, I'm sorry. I really don't like the heart. Elaborate. Give us more context to how this thing works. Anyway, I think we've potentially dawdled on this.
Yeah, I think we've
long enough.
We've talked a lot about the Warframe Heart of Deimos update, which has been what it is.
Just give me a cinematic quest.
I just wish they'd go and continue their story, and like I don't mind.
Yeah.
I really don't mind whether it's like I just don't understand what changed, because basically it felt like from the second dream forward, actually War Within forward, but maybe second dream, but War Within. Up until War Within, everything was pointed forward. Like the entire idea, even though we had Arcwing, but that was still like pointed forward. Like you started as a player at the start, and you moved forward until the War Within, and that was like the thing that got added. And at that point, they decided like, okay, let's add new content. If this is our timeline and we've been moving forward in that direction, let's place the new update here. And then we still get a sacrifice, so like the needle moved forward a little bit, and then it was like, and the next one will be here, and then the next one will be here, and we'll have something there, and then we'll have something there, and then we'll have something there, and we'll have something there. It's like, why are we cluttering things? Why are we making all these sidetracks which are never going to get resolved? Because Fortuna is still not resolved. That story is still not resolved. Like, we're not completing side quests. We're not expanding the world. We're just making clutter. I don't get it. I just don't understand. Like, if you continue it on, like, you could build out on that story. And you could, like, this could have been, like, a very important piece in a new war, which is like something which is either going on or not going on, or like I don't even know about that. Like I just completely lost interest in the war, because what is that even? What are we doing?
I really like. So as I think it was Nvidia said, like if the sentients found out that the whole heart existed, then we are boned.
Yeah.
I hope the sentients find out about the heart. I
Mhm.
hope the sentients bloody do anything.
Yes.
Anyway,
The big faction announced in 2015. Other than that, fun update. So,
right. I
up to,
love Warframe. Maybe I'm too in love with it. Maybe I'm the clingy clingy boyfriend who needs me. It's not me, it's you. Anyway, right, should we move forward?
all right. Then we have a small little topic in between, which should get us over to the final topic. And I might have like a little bonus if we want to get into that. All right. So, Fall Guys, big game. You might have heard of it. New game. Raises $1 million for the special effect charity in bidding war for an in-game skin. So 2 weeks ago, the popular game Fall Guys announced a bidding war on Twitter for anyone to get their skin to get a skin of them in their game. Like Fall Guys has been like a rather brand safe game. It's been very popular on Twitch and YouTube as well. And therefore, it's seen high demand from companies, franchises, and personalities to like include a skin of theirs in the game. Like people all want to have their own Fall Guys skins, so they can promote shit like just the way that Fortnite had it. But like this is even safer than Fortnite, so everyone wants to have a piece of the pie of Fall Guys. Now, Fall Guys has been very active on social media, and this has been one of the things which I think they've done very, very well. Like I'm just like very staggered by how brilliant this thing is. But basically, they just put out a tweet, said like, okay, we're gonna put a skin in the game for anyone that donates the highest amount to the special effects charity within 2 weeks, and just let us know what you're gonna donate. The highest bidder will get their skin in the Fortnite game, the Fall Guys game. So in the end, a collective bid of $1 million provided by online personalities of Mr. Beast Ninja, and then the G2 esports team and the Aim Lab developer won. So like four companies and personalities that teamed up to donate $1 million to the Special Effects charity, which is a UK-based charity that aids gamers with physical disabilities. And honestly, like I think it's interesting because like this just ended, and I think first of all, I think it's very clever marketing, and number two, I wonder like how this might go forward with promotional stuff when games use social media and charities at the same time to promote their game. Because I think in this scenario, like I can't say anything bad about it. I think pretty much everyone wins.
I don't know, like this is quite clearly a marketing tactic.
Mm-hmm.
I am way too low in my chair. This is quite clearly a marketing tactic, and yeah, okay, cool. It's great that these people have turned around and said, yeah, we will put in this much money into the charity.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Have they actually done it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's me being cynical, right? But it's like if everyone, right, got together and like, oh, we've all collaborated, every single contestant has collaborated together, and we are donating $30 million to this charity, right? And then they have to do a shit ton of skins, right? I don't see like it to me it devalues the achievement of the 1 million to the fact that 4 teams got together to put this through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sort of. But then at the same time, like you're talking about like a skin in a game. Like I don't know how much Marvel or like other companies pay Fortnite to have their skins in their game, but it's like especially
I imagine
especially if you look at the people that bid, it's like yes, Mr. Beast and Ninja are big personalities, but like how much money do they have to spend on these things? And G2 esports team, I've not heard about them before, and Aim Lab as well, I've not heard about them before. So like there are far bigger franchises or companies that could have donated on this that didn't do it. So I think that for like the sizes of the people that contested with it, I mean Warframe also did a bit of like $20,000 or something, and then they left it at that.
Yeah,
so.
but still, like so what happens if Microsoft turn around and is like $1 billion?
I mean that would have been pretty cool.
yeah, for the charity, but like,
See,
maybe I'm
yeah.
focusing on the wrong part.
The thing that I really like about it is like you can as a upcoming game, you can advertise, you can plunk like a bunch of money into like advertisements and billboards and like advertisements on YouTube videos or TVs or whatever, and that's gonna attract attention or not. I think that this is like an interesting way where like yes, it is very clearly advertisement. It's very clearly like the reason that Mr. Beast, Ninja, these esports teams, and all these people, all these companies do it is because they want to get a piece of the pie. They want to get attention. But it's something which I don't see any like big downsides to. Like, no, of course, it's not the best way of like raising money for charity, but that's not. But is that not entirely the goal? Like, it is an action which I think was like very well done because like you see, Fall Guys gets its like promotion around because everyone is like talking about it for 2 weeks straight. People like all sorts of companies can jump in to like get the highest bid so that they can share the right on this attention, and then the money ultimately goes to charity and everyone's talking about it and everyone's happy about, oh shit, this skin got into the game. And I think that like generally I'd rather see an advertisement campaign done like this than just simply going through billboards or just simply, oh, here's like a 15-second ad that you can't skip in front of your YouTube video. It's like I just think that yeah, I mean it's yeah.
I think the next thing for me is, will these skins be free? Right? Because if they're not free, then that to me, like, undermines the goodwill of the charity. You know, the whole point is that you're supposed to be getting X company to put, like, you know, where is your contribution, developers of Fall Guys, to this charitable cause? I mean, surely that was whoever donated the most, you would create the skins for to then give away. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, so like
I would hope
if
so
players,
too.
yeah, if players then have to buy them, it's just like, what no, you're now profiting off of the charitable work. Like that's not the point of charity. That again, maybe I'm being over anxious, overly pessimistic. There you go.
Yeah. No, I
but,
like yeah, no, but I agree. If like it, I hope that they're just gonna be free in the game. Like that would be pretty sweet, and then like it would be all around good. I don't think there's much more to talk about on this topic, so I want to just drop in a very quick extra thing, and then we can get to the final topic. But this just popped up right before the FrameCast went live. Let's see. Here we have it. We have today, if you're interested in buying new hardware, we have Nvidia, not Nvidia here in chat, but Nvidia dropping their new lineup of RTX graphics cards. So the 3070, 3080, and also a new edition, the 3090. So right here on screen, we have the new designs. It's like a lot more like, it's so funny. Like I remember when graphics cards were like really stand out. Of course, it's just a reference model. Like there's going to be MSI and like all sorts of like different companies that are going to have their own version of this, their own spin of this, but it looks a lot sleeker. So we have the GeForce RTX 3070, which is already faster than 2080 Ti, they say, which honestly, like, I can't believe because to me, like, still like the 1080 Ti seems like a fast graphics card, but hey. Which is going to be available in October, costing around $500, which is, again, like, it's a lot for a graphics card, but is it a cheap one? Then we have the GeForce RTX 3080, which is going to be around September 17th, so in about, like, 2 weeks' time.
The image isn't displaying correctly on the stream. Like, it's cutting off the edges.
You can see the picture. Yeah, oh, hold on. Can I, like, adjust this? I don't know which I'm adjusting. Right here. All right. Let me see if I can. Suck it, OBS. I just want to adjust a specific layer that I select right here. No! You bloody OBS. I hate this thing. That's the one. There we go. That's better. All right, we got it. That should be better. So the RTX 3080 should be twice as fast as a regular 2080. But the most interesting thing, which I found, was the RTX 3090. This apparently is a graphics card focused on 8K, rendering 8K, the first 8K world's graphics card they're calling it, and it's gonna start at, are you ready for this? $1499.
Yeah, that's nothing new. The Ti was that. So the Titan or whatever. So
Yeah,
can
but
you
for
you,
for
you
for
said 3080
yeah,
was twice the speed of the 2080.
yes,
So where did you see this?
it's right here on their own promo piece for Nvidia GeForce UK.
It says twice the performance, but how you measure performance is
Yeah,
different.
of
Like it
course.
doesn't have to be frame rate. It could be
Yeah,
like
it could be a different way, but it's
multiple.
said to be twice the
Yeah.
performance as 2080. The 3070 is supposedly faster than 2080 Ti. Honestly, like I don't know what 2080 Ti's go for right now because I haven't really been in the hardware market recently. Um, but
A lot.
how much should they? Hold on, let me go take a look.
So my 3070, sorry, my
2070.
2070 was £475, right, which is about the same price as that 3070,
All right, let me
right?
go take a look. So a 2080 Ti. I'm on Amazon, but it doesn't want to show a price. That's dumb. 2080 Ti here goes for $1,400. About like you said, you said, well, yeah. Here I see GeForce RTX 2080 Ti Ultra Gaming 1400. 28-hour Founders Edition is $950. 2080 Ti is also 1400. So 2080 Ti's are about 1400.
Yeah.
As I can find them on. Honestly, if this thing comes out in October and it's like faster than the 20 Ti, then 2080 Ti's right now are massively overpriced. Like, I mean, like obviously they're very overpriced, but like even more so because if
Well,
this thing is faster,
yeah, but I mean, this is just how it goes. This is
Mhm.
how the market goes. I mean, more often than not, Nvidia will end up having like bloody warehouses of these things, like the older cards, and they just use it to set up like their GeForce cloud game streaming service, right? But I I can appreciate the fact that the 3070 is faster than the 2080 Ti,
Mhm.
right? I do not I do not believe that the
80.
the 3080 is twice the speed of the 2080, but not significantly fast enough to say, oh yeah, it's also shit tons faster than the 3070. Like,
Yeah.
unless there's like a gigantic gap between the 2080 and the 2080 Ti, like I feel that is marketing like skewing some numbers.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, we're gonna have to wait for like official like reviews and stuff and things like that. But seriously, I felt um I felt that personally the difference between like the when we went to 1080 to 2080, like there was obviously a performance increase, but I felt that still people with 1080s and 1080 Ti's for sure like really kept up. Like the big thing, the big talking point was like RTX, and like RTX was only available in certain
Yeah.
games. It's like, oh yeah, like I remember a lot of people just being like, "Oh yeah, I mean it looks cool, but like, like I don't really need RTX, so like I don't really care." And
Yeah.
this right now, like it feels like the cycle feels it was like maybe it was because of when I came into like the PC hardware market, which has been like about 5 years ago, so like I haven't been around for that long. But still, it feels like from 1080 to 2080 was like such a big thing, and like everyone's like building up to it. And this just for me came out of like the blue sky. Like I just logged into Twitter, saw this thing, I was like, "What the? Are we doing this now?" And like the fact that
Yeah.
this thing, like the low end card of $500, which I know is still not really low end for most people, but still, compared to the $1,400 card that we have, graphics card that we have right now, it's faster than that than what you can buy right now. Like that is super interesting. I'm really curious what that will do to the pricing for the 2080 Ti's, because
Mhm.
why would you buy a 2080 Ti when the
It won't change. It won't change.
That's so weird.
It's standard for hardware suppliers. They don't change. So the thing is that these companies, so Nvidia do not sell their own graphics cards. They
Mm-hmm.
sell the chipsets to the manufacturers like
Yeah.
MSI, Asus, so on and so forth. But MSI and Asus, they typically do not sell their hardware direct. They will only sell it to oh God, retailers, so like overclockers, Amazon, Scan, so on and so forth. So the markup is pretty damn substantial,
Mm-hmm.
but if Amazon or whomever really started to sell those things for a lot less, like they'd be making a horrendous loss, right? Because MSI or whomever is actually making a killing off of selling it to the retailers. Yeah.
No.
So it's why you'll find that DDR3 RAM is the same price as DDR4 RAM or DDR2 RAM. The prices do not fluctuate because it still costs the same when they originally made it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, like if you can get the 3070 for cheaper than the 2080 Ti, go for the 3070, I guess. Well, as far as I can tell from these sheets, probably like actually go look up some real reviews of like tech journalists and stuff like that. But anyway, thought it was interesting. Let's get into your topic for this week: Call of Duty.
Drew hates Activision. Okay. Right. So, Activision announcement of Black Ops Cold War and the odd way that they laid out their methods of paying for the game based on what console you wish to play on and whether you buy the digital or physical copy of the game. So the announcement tells us that there are multiple separate types of purchases for the game. This includes the standard edition, the optional update for next-gen consoles, the physical media versions for both the current gen consoles and the next gen consoles, so like PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Fart, then the cross-gen edition and the ultimate edition, right? So there's loads of different ways that you can purchase the game. Beyond the base price difference, the limitations on the different media types are very inconsistent. So we're talking physical and digital, right? PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Fart, right? The base price of the current generation, so PlayStation 4, Xbox One, is $60 for the standard edition. This will only have features that are available on the current gen, graphically speaking, even if you play it through backwards compatibility on next gen consoles. Right? Right? Wait for it. If you purchase the digital only version of the standard edition and wish to play on next gen consoles with the full graphical features enabled, there will be an option to upgrade the game through the respective console store fronts. This will likely cost money, right? But nothing's been confirmed as of yet. And basically bringing the price up to what the cross-gen edition will cost, right? If you buy the physical disc for the standard edition, they currently cost $60. You'll be able to upgrade to the next gen on the PlayStation 5, but only if you have the disc in the console. However, on the Xbox, you will not be able to upgrade the physical copy to the next gen at all. You will only be able to play the backwards compatibility mode of the game on the Xbox Fart. Yeah? On contrast, if you purchase the physical disc of the PlayStation 5 Standard Edition, yeah, not the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5, this will only have the PlayStation 5 version of the game. But if you purchase the Xbox Fart Standard Edition, this will have both the current, so the Xbox One, and the Xbox Fart versions of the game on the disc, allowing you to play both the current gen and the next gen. At least that's the theory, right? The next gen physical versions cost $70 each, regardless of the brand of the console. Right? So you with me so far?
Yeah.
So PlayStation 4 version, you can upgrade to PlayStation 5. Xbox One version, you cannot. The PlayStation 5 version, you cannot play on the PlayStation 4. but the Xbox Fart version you can play on the Xbox One and the Xbox Fart. Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. The cross-gen edition will cost $70 and give you full access to the game on both generations of consoles with full features and graphical functions that the next-gen consoles supply. The Ultimate Edition is basically just the Ultimate Edition is basically just cross-gen with some bonus skins, weapons, and the battle pass, apparently with like a 20 level skip or some shit like this. Right. What this means is no matter what, if you want to play the game on the next-gen console with the graphical features those consoles support, you must pay $70 minimum. In addition, if you want to play the game on the current and next gen, buyer beware which media type you purchase, because you could end up having to buy the game twice, as the rules are inconsistent between the platforms. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Let me just say that, like, one thing that Nvidia said in chat is very appropriate. Like, what the fuck am I hearing? This is harder to follow than any of my uni lectures. Yeah. This is really, really great. This is really straightforward. You wanted to buy a single game? Well, here you go. Well, here's all the information. It kind of sounds like it reminds me of the Anthem days. In order to pre-order Anthem, you could pre-order it via EA Access, or you could pre-order it via like buying pre-order edition 1, or pre-order it via buy pre-order edition 2, or you could not pre-order it. And if you did, then either you got it this day and you could do the pre-beta there, or you could do the pre-beta there, and it's so confusing. It is so confusing. I do believe that with our current generation of consoles, which have all these internet capabilities, we have entered a new age where, hey, we found that when we went from like a Nintendo 64 to a GameCube, these things were not compatible at all. There was no question about intercompatibility between systems. There was no question about whether this thing would be supported further on or whatever, because it were two completely different systems. Now with like the Xbox 360, Xbox One, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox Fard, we're finding that actually, they're just kind of like computer machines, and they kind of interconnect to the internet, and we can kind of like work them together. They're just the same disks that go in there. So we have this curse where kind of these hardwares could kind of like interconnect if people would just flip some switches and like make things work if they wanted to. But how do you go about this? And I can very well understand the desire for crossplay, and I can very well understand the desire for not crossplay. So let me first say the desire for crossplay is like super easy. Hey, I want to buy this game. I just want to buy some games because I don't want to buy PlayStation 5 on launch. I don't want to buy Xbox 4 on launch because they're going to be expensive. I'm not going to have the money. I just want to play the games. But if I decide to upgrade, I don't want to buy all my games again, because that's kind of dumb. It's going to see that I already have them. If I can just throw them in because they're the same disc, bada bing, bada boom, profit, please. That makes a lot of sense. Why would you not desire crossplay? And I can also understand this argument where it's like there's going to be two different capabilities in the systems. We've discussed this a couple of weeks ago about Warframe, where it's like, or live service games like Destiny as well, where it's like these things can't go on forever because there is significant difference between the hardwares of the two systems, and they can't continue to support a console generation forever. So at some point, there's gonna have to be differences between the two things, and they can't all be the same. So there is a significant difference between a PS5 and a PS4, or an Xbox One and an Xbox Fart. That being said, though, this is completely not a way I would recommend going about it. I would be totally fine if, let's say, I would buy a PlayStation game, or if I would buy like an Xbox game, and I would be able to like throw in like the disc, and it read it and it knew what to load because PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Fart. It would know what it is. It would load it. Simple, straightforward. Same with digital. If I buy a digital and I could go into the new platform, I could download it with my same account. Bada bing, bada boom. Why does it have to be such a giant fucking mess with like, oh, you have to pay this for this, they pay this for that, and like, I get that for that? It is so complicated. And yes, there are reasons why some things may work on some platforms. And yes, Xbox has done this thing where Xbox One games can work on the Xbox 360. But don't. Make it simple. Make one game, put it in it. Like, I don't get this. I really don't get this shit. Why, like, this is going to be so complicated. I'm not even, like, even if I was interested in buying the game, I would not. I'm just going to, like, too much information for me. I can't follow.
So, to compare with this, there's a really interesting way that EA is approaching. Well, I say interesting, simplistic way EA is approaching this with NBA 2K. Sorry, 2K21.
Ooh.
Hold on, you put 2K21. Why don't you just put 2021? Seriously, you're replacing the number 0 with a K. You're saving nothing, right? Anyway, so if you want to upgrade from the old generation, sorry, the current generation to the new generation, you basically have to upgrade it from $60 up to $100, right? So you have to pay an additional $40 on top, right?
Oh.
But it's like that across the entire field. Yeah? It's not some weird and wacky jigsaw, Da Vinci Code deciphering Sudoku of what do I need to buy to get the right thing, right? You buy you buy the version for the console, you want to upgrade, it's £100. If you want to buy the latest version, it's £100. Job done, right? Just it, right? On the other end of the spectrum, you got CD Projekt Red, right? Who have been really vocal about the fact that they insist if you buy the game, you should just buy it once, and a graphical update or a update or something like this should be free of charge, right? Whereas you should only pay for DLC content where they introduce like brand new guns, brand new environments, brand new NPCs, brand new quests, so on and so forth, like they did with The Witcher 3. Yeah. And it's like one of the biggest player feedback is the fact that the amount of microtransactions that Activision have put into the Call of Duty games, like you are paying for battle passes, you are paying for skins, you're paying for DLCs, you're paying for the game up front, you're paying for such a ludicrous amount of bullshit, right? Why isn't the game just free up front? You've got the Call of Duty could easily follow payment methods akin to, or payment plans, that's the word I was looking for, payment plans similar to Rainbow Six, Siege? Rainbow Six Siege? Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure whether it's paid or free, or but I've not played it.
No, so. But they have like battle passes, they have loot boxes, they have like all sorts of weird and wonderful shit. Fuck Destiny 2. Destiny 2 went free to play for the baseline of the game. You just pay for the DLCs. But so why can't
the reason why they can't do that is because they know that like maybe if they made it free, they would sell a fuck ton of copies more, but they know that even if they make it paid, they're still going to sell a fuck ton of copies. So I think that they're going to earn more out of like people that want to buy it, pay $60 or $70 or whatever, than like the amount of people that they would get extra because it's free. Like, how would I say it? I think that it's very likely that people that are so interested in the game that they like people that people that would be spending the big money, because with a free to play game, you're counting on the people that are actually buying the microtransaction, the whales. These people, I think, would buy the game anyway. And the people that would not buy the game are less likely to be whales that would spend money. So, like, I think that...
I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, Activision have had their best year ever laying off 800 people, sorry. But, the biggest problem, I think, to make sure that it's really struck home is the fact that if people aren't aware that, if you buy the PlayStation 5 version, you can't play it on the PlayStation 4. But if you buy the Xbox One version, you can't upgrade to the Xbox Fart version, right? The fact that the ambiguity, it's not the same across everything. That is the biggest problem. So some people will spend $70, whereas some people will spend $150, right? Where is the justification in that?
Well, I wonder whether it depends on certain games. So like we already said that when it comes to like live service games like Warframe, like Destiny, they're gonna have to end at some point on their respective systems. Like they cannot continue on forever on the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation, and the Xbox One. At some point, it's gonna end. So I can understand that you'd want some separation between cross-platform things, because on the one hand, like, yes, I would love to be able to put every single PlayStation 4 disc into the PlayStation 5. And I think that that would probably be capable as well. But I don't think that you want to have this precedent where you can put PlayStation 5 discs in a PlayStation 4. Because at some point, there's going to be a game that's more demanding than your PlayStation 4 can take. And at that point, people can be like, but hey, you know, you said that any PlayStation 5 disc that I buy, I can put in here and it works. And yeah, so like, I can kind of see that, especially like when you're
doing it.
What?
EA are doing it.
EA are doing
If you buy the PlayStation 4 version, right, you can put it in the PlayStation 5 if you upgrade.
Yeah, but
right?
but like that's the thing. Like you have to buy a specific package, so it's like there has to be like a specific deal. Like not everything works right at the gate, because otherwise you set the precedent that every single.
But
PS5
if you get the PlayStation 5 version of NBA 2K21, as far as I've understood, you can put that in the PlayStation 4.
Mm-hmm.
So why is Call of Duty? Why should? I'm not going to ask you why is, because I know. Why should Activision treat Black Ops Cold War differently when other studios are doing it perfectly fine?
It depends on like what their plans are with the game. So like yes, NBA 2K seems very similar to a Call of Duty, which is like a yearly release with an online multiplayer segment. I think I've never played NBA 2K, but hey, let's assume I think they're similar. That being said, it's like what we've seen with Modern Warfare. I think Modern Warfare feels like it's been around longer, maybe just because it's been like such a big file size. But if they intend to keep this up for a longer period of time, like how long until the PlayStation 4 becomes irrelevant? How long until like the PlayStation 5 outpaces the PlayStation 4? So like it would not make sense, I think, for Warframe or Destiny or any live service game or any game that isn't a story game or isn't a game that's set to have an expiration date before the PS4 hits its expiration date to invest in any cross-platform play or any cross-platform ideas at all. Because let's say Warframe were to invest into like a cross-platform setup, then what would happen is that would maybe work for like a year, and then now we got to move on to PlayStation 5. So that would not be worth the effort. So I can see that if Call of Duty's plans, which I highly doubt, but let's say that Call of Duty's plans are to have this game be continued on with development for 2 years, on, and at like after 1 year, basically like it cannot connect anymore. Like the PlayStation 4 version cannot keep up with the PlayStation 5. I can understand you want to make this separation. Then again, I don't think Call of Duty is that way. But I can understand why developers might want to do that if their games are meant for the longer term, and at some point will stop being able to be compatible with each other, if that makes sense.
I don't think it's a case of compatible with each other. I think it's the whole premise is compatible with the platform. So, for example, you could buy the Xbox Fart version of Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Such a dumb name. You could buy the Xbox Fart version, play it on your Xbox One, and then decide next summer, I'm going to buy an Xbox Fart now. And you'd have nothing to lose out on, right? Whereas if you buy the Xbox One version, right? Well, you can't upgrade. You have to buy the Xbox Fart version then.
Yeah, I found it a bit weird. I always found it weird with like PlayStation 3 things. Like you could that did not have backwards compatibility. I think that recently, like at the start of PS5, it was rumored that PS5 would have backwards compatibility with like all PlayStations, and now like they're not quite sure. We don't know, but I think that backwards compatibility, especially when it comes down to the same discs, like maybe it's the architecture, but at the same time, like right now, like how much difference is there, like principally between these two systems? Like why can you not run these games on? Like, I don't get it. I would really like if, especially right now, if there aren't big changes to, like, the way that formats work, like, if we don't go from discs to cartridges and we keep the same Blu-ray discs, like, why can't we just, like, plop in our old games into, like, the new system? Because I think we should be able.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, the fact that the PlayStation 2 could play PlayStation 1 games, to me, was absolutely amazing. But then they had the first generation of PlayStation, the 60 gigabyte versions of the PlayStation 3 that were backwards compatible to the PlayStation 2, but they made so few of them and then went, oh, you know what? Let's make a 40 gig version. And I think an 80 or 100 gig, I'm not entirely sure, version of the PlayStation 3, but not allow backwards compatibility. It just felt like a giant middle finger, right?
So what I think happened with the PlayStation 3 is that they were way too ambitious with what they wanted, and like price wise they couldn't like afford it. So basically, like if you're like the very like these models that you were describing were like these PlayStation models with like all sorts of like card readers, like for cards that no one ever used. It ran Linux.
Card.
Yeah,
It
you had
was
yeah
what?
like
They're
the
all
own
discs.
no okay so like but what you had with like the only PlayStations that could run PlayStation 2 discs were like the fat
60 gig.
yeah, we're like the fat PlayStation 3, and that had
Yeah.
so many things that like it was insane. So let me see if I can get any like close up shots of this right here. Let
But
me
you could
see.
still get fat versions of the PlayStation 3 that were like 40 gig and I want to say 80 gig that did not support backwards compatibility.
Yeah, I don't quite know like how that work, but this right here, these are like the card readers. Like basically, like this thing, but because like the difference between PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 was PlayStation 2 ran on DVDs and PlayStation 3 ran on Blu-ray, so they needed like two different systems of like working on that. But this
No, that's
thing,
bullshit. That's bullshit. I'm sorry. I hate to call you out on this, but Blu-ray players can read DVDs.
all right,
That's why DVD drives could read CDs.
mm-hmm.
If you are genuinely telling me, like I will believe you, but if you are genuinely telling me that the Blu-ray drive in a PlayStation 3 could not read a DVD, right? I will eat my new Game Grumps hat. Oh, please don't make me eat my new Game Grumps hat. I've only just ordered it.
Let me see. Like I mean, like I'm not 100% certain of that because that's like the thing that I heard years ago when I was looking this up, which was like many years ago. And I'm not quite sure why won't my place.
Just Google. Could
Yeah, like
no,
I'm Google this. Why won't
could the
my
PlayStation 3 play DVDs?
no like
Could
could it play the PlayStation 2 games? Like I don't know what it
No,
was physically.
that's we're not talking about the backwards compatibility. We're talking about the DVD thing.
No, like we're talking about like is it a system thing? Is it a hardware thing? Or is it a software thing that they can't play it?
Yeah, I don't know. They just took it out. They just didn't
Yeah,
bother continuing it.
anyway, like the point that I was making was that this thing right here, this place, this original PlayStation that they made had like so many things. As you can see, like it had all sorts of card readers that no one used. It ran full Linux on it. Like you could just run Linux on your thing. It was meant to be like a computer console, but they stripped down so many things of it because first off, no one used it. Number two, it was very expensive to make, and number three, people could so easily hack it because of the Linux that was on it. So they decided to abandon it. And actually, people got their money back for like the PlayStation that they bought if they had Linux on it because people could have bought it because they went Linux on it, and now they had to like pay it back.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, like, I think we were talking about backwards compatibility. I do think that like it would be really great if possible. Please have backwards compatibility because it would just. I mean, like personally, I really enjoyed the PlayStation 3, and I was like, why would I ever want to move on to a PlayStation 4? But I do notice that like my PlayStation 3, it's getting a bit older. I noticed that like I can't get new controllers for it anymore. So like if my controllers break, I'm stuck with like nothing. And it would be great if I could just like plop that disc into the PS4, just have one console booted as well. Like, you know how nice that would be? You know how nice that would be if you just want to have like a game collection and you could just like have one PlayStation and one Xbox just like sit on your thing. You could plop in any disc, so you don't have to worry about having like all your different
Yeah.
consoles like set up and like, oh, how do I do this with power without
PC
causing a
clock.
fire hazard? Like, oh my god, that would be so nice.
To be honest, the thing that really fucking vexes me over this whole Call of Duty situation,
Yeah.
the more I think about it, the more I can only assume, right? I do not believe that different developers are working on this game. I do not think that there is one studio that is exclusively doing the Xbox version. I do not think there is one studio exclusively doing the PlayStation version. I do not think there's one studio exclusively doing the
No,
PC
I don't think
version.
so either.
What I think, and I do not believe that if it is one studio, which makes sense, I do not believe at any point in time that the three different departments wouldn't talk to each other and go like, I can't imagine like, oh, we've got a big boardroom, right? Oh, let's take it in turns throwing darts at cards on a wall on how we're going to deal with backwards compatibility for the different platforms.
Well,
PC, you don't get a go.
Well, it might
right?
be it might be because of the way that like Sony and Xbox have their things structured. So Sony, as far as I remember, has never done.
I personally think. Sorry to take the wind out of your sails.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think this was done as a money-saving thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it would cost Activision I'm going to say Activision. It's going to cost Activision less money to make a game that is forwards compatible for the PlayStation and backwards compatible for the PlayStation. Sorry, for the Xbox fart, right?
Yeah.
I think that is the sole reason for this development practice.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that these costs come from the way that these platforms are set up. Because Xbox has this weird this backward compatibility thing. Like they even release games for both the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One. So they have some way. I don't know whether they were like backwards compatible or whether they were forwards compatible. But
can I just double check? Xbox 360. You are correct in saying what you're saying. Xbox 360 and the Xbox One.
Yeah, you even have these Xbox 360s and Xbox One games. Like they both have like the same like both titles on like the thing. Like let me see if I can get one here. Boom.
I am unaware.
So you have these games which are like Injustice. It's like Xbox One, Xbox 360. Like they make these specific cases for those which were like both for both consoles. It was very confusing. It didn't really look good. Full free as well.
Were they the same disc or two different discs?
It was one single disc.
That's super interesting.
So that's why I say it may be a platform thing, because Xbox has done this before. Maybe Xbox has a certain way that they're like, okay, we do it only like backwards, and Sony's like, oh, because the first time we do it, we only did forwards. So it might be like, again, as you say, it might be cheaper because these are the ways that the platforms want to do it, and it's cheaper to just like do it according to how the platforms want to do it.
Go with what they say,
rather than like trying to force like monogamy amongst like the same thing.
Yeah, or like which is potentially why EA is charging more. Well, they're probably charging more because they want to.
Yeah, I mean, like they can.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm wondering how much longer is it going to be before we start seeing the regular price for a video game being £100 a game, which, to be honest, that thought alone is sickening.
I do wonder too, but I do think. Like yes, especially like when it comes with microtransactions, like that is insane. That's crazy. On the other hand, I do also think like yes, I think $70 or $100 is an insane price for a game. I would like I'd rather have it be $60. That being said, like I recently when I went on vacation, I traveled to like north of Holland, and I traveled there with my grandpa, and he told me about his history, and he's around 80 years old, and he told me like when he grew up, like he was working from 5 to 10 every single day of the week, and for that he earned a weekly salary of like £2, and that's what he earned for like a week's worth of like a full day of work, not even 9 to 5, but like 5 to 10, like full day, 5 in the morning to 10 in the evening, and like really hard physical work. £2, and throughout his lifetime that's changed to an entirely different salary that is that people get right now. And I think like I mean that's of course inflation, and I think that like it's been like, I don't know how long it's been, $60 for like a game, but as long as I can remember, as long as I've been like involved with gaming, it's been like $60 for like a long time. And I think that like, I mean, inflation is still happening, and I'm not advocating for that games get more expensive, but at some point it happened that like my grandpa got paid $2 or £2 a week, and now if you would get paid $2 or £2 a week, you couldn't even like survive a day. So like at some point inflation is happening. And it like that will affect everything, and like things get more expensive, but at the same time like money gets worth less. So hopefully like I mean like it's just that like I think like it's gonna happen regardless at some point. I'm not championing for it. I'm not happy for it. I really like like one of the things which maybe we can attribute to the microtransaction systems, like if you are robust against it, if you can just put it to the side, maybe the good thing was that because of that, games have stayed a little bit cheaper. because maybe they would have made the switch to $70 earlier. But I mean, so like I'm not championing it, but like I can also see like why it's happening, because if inflation continues to go on, like we can't forever keep the $60, and then like in 80 years time, $60 is like worth nothing because inflation.
So one of the biggest things that I really want to highlight
Mm-hmm.
is in the 11th of November 2011,
Mm-hmm.
right, was the release date for Elder Scrolls Skyrim,
Mm-hmm.
right? That, to my knowledge, was one of the first games to establish a £45 price point
Ooh.
for a video game, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Nearly, 9 years ago. Nearly 9 years ago. And to think that in 9 years, we've gone from £45 a game to £70 a game is crazy, right? What's worse, when I was younger, when it was back in like 2000, probably the year 2000, a brand new game was about 20, £25,
Mm-hmm.
right? And yeah, you can argue like the whole inflation thing, right? But I will advise anyone that's listening to this conversation right now, talk to your parents and ask them. Actually, no, go on the internet first and look up how much houses cost in like your area, right? Compare your house. So if you live in a 4-bedroom house, compare how much a 4-bedroom house costs in your area, right? Then turn to your parents and ask them how much did they buy their 4-bedroom house for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ask them for the comparison, because I've investigated this. A 2-bedroom bungalow, right? This, which is what my
Mm-hmm.
parents live in, a 2-bedroom bungalow, or technically 3, at my parents costs about £450,000, right? Upwards of £500,000. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My parents, back in, I think it was the 70s, right, bought it for £23,000.
Yeah.
How scary is that? How
I
scary?
know. I know the
Right,
deal from here too. It's
right,
house prices are insane. Absolutely
yeah.
crazy.
Inflation is such a scary thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you think to yourself, oh, but that's how much it's always cost. Seriously, you go back a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, 4 decades, and the price is nowhere near the same. And the inflation has escalated well out of control.
Mm-hmm. So I was just looking up like inflation calculator right here. Basically, if in 2020, like right now, you buy a $60 game, then in 2011, like that game would have been accounted for inflation, would have been like you should have bought it for $52.
Right.
So if you go to like the 1990s, for example, like basically games for $30. Like for $30 for a game was the same as right now buying a game for $60, accounted for inflation. I know that there's US inflation. I wonder if I can find like UK inflation. Um, I think
No,
this.
not 1990. Like that's too far back. Go 98.
Yeah, I mean we can go 98. So 2020, let's say $60, and then 1998. Calculate. That would be 37.75. So it's like
Right. So do it the other way around now. Do it from
90,
19. No, let's
98.
do 2011. 2011. Right. And we're doing 45. Right. And we're going to 2020.
Yeah, that would be 51.83.
Right. And yet we're looking at 70.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's how much more on top things have grown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yep. What do we do
Cool.
about it?
Right. Was fuck all week. Buy less game. Piracy.
Also, Brand, thanks so
Never
much for
endorse piracy.
coming through. I appreciate it. But yeah, oh man. Yeah, it's
Right.
prices go up. It's a thing. What I mean, one thing which I also find very interesting is like when it comes to like the smartphone market. For example, like I think the most innovation happened at the start of the smartphone days. So like I remember when you had like a Samsung Galaxy 1, 2, 3, 4, and like the iPhone like 3, 4, 5 and such, like that felt like there was actually like change happening. New things were being added. Like it was super exciting. If you had a phone for 2 years old, it was really, really old. And all these phones cost around $500, $600 for like the absolute flagships. Right now, like they just breached like 2 years ago $1,000, $1,200, $1,500. It's like $1,500 for a phone, which like you almost can't like this like you can't see the difference between that phone and like a phone from 2, 4, or 5 years ago, because like yeah, they may be faster, but like they do pretty much the same. There hasn't been that many insanely different things. Oh, except for like the foldables. I do think the foldables, like because they're like an entirely new different concept, like yes, I can see them being more pricey for like a first gen thing, but still, like you see like inflation in there. And like if we had that same inflation, like it depends on like what market you're in, but like if you were like in the smartphone market, you're like, oh yeah, I want to buy like a new smartphone every year, like all of a sudden like that price just doubled in 2 years time, literally doubled. That's insane.
Yeah. It's so inflation is a real thing, but it's not what we pay for. So anyway, right. I think I especially wanted to make sure everyone's aware, be careful about this game, at least in Activision. Everyone should know I'm not a fan of Activision. Out of interest, did you actually watch my my latest Xeno Codex?
You mean the one with the stick bug?
Yeah.
That fucking
Anyway.
that was so great. So yeah,
Yeah.
if there's one word,
No,
if there's one meme that would describe my feelings towards the Heart of Deimos, oh boy, that was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful.
That one.
No, I love that one.
Right. So I think let's close it up. Let's get questions from our audience. And if anyone has any questions.
Yeah. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in. Also, one thing which might be rather important for you guys, we know that like things are going to be changing. We have a new like iPhone 12 is going to come out. We have like new Samsung phones that are going to come out, new laptops and stuff that are going to kind of come out in 2021 and stuff. So keep in mind, next year, the FrameCast, you're still going to be able to watch it just like this, but please keep in mind that there's going to be a premium that you're going to have to pay if you want to watch your FrameCast on your other devices, okay? It's just, we're going with the time, so please keep that in mind. And if you would please, like, submit the change into, like, one of our Patreons, that would be great.
Lol.
Just kidding. Get stick bug. That was awesome and unexpected, Steph says.
Cool. Should we wait a moment longer and then migrate over to? I don't know if you want to raid anyone or host anyone, or I don't know what the Twitch kids do these days.
Hans, we gotta stop eating. I want to see the FrameCast. Yeah, don't eat anymore. Watch the FrameCast. Don't hate to watch the FrameCast. No, just kidding. Always make sure you eat before you watch the FrameCast, because
I do. Otherwise, I get very hungry and cranky.
Yeah, me too, actually. So you know what we're doing right in front of the FrameCast. We're eating, and then we start babbling about it for a couple of hours. But anyway, I think that was the FrameCast for this week. If you guys have any more questions for next week, feel free to put them in the comments below on our YouTubes, or refer them in like Discord or Twitter or whatever. We can refer them in. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had fun with it. And yeah, we will see you all next week. Make sure you check CasinoGalleon on youtube.com/CasinoGalleon. See his how he feels about Heart of Deimos in one single meme. Very accurate meme. I very, very much feel like that. And yeah, also check out his Patreon, because that's like a reoccurring meme right here that we plug his Patreon.
And Ko-fi.
So, and
I set up a Ko-fi, so it's ko-fi.com/CasinoGalleon.
Oh yeah, and we should also ask like what color socks you're wearing or something. I don't know what that was. That was also a meme.
Flesh colored. They're also invisible and not there.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you all next week. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. And yeah, Goodbye.
Blah.